Today I'd like to go over instance fields, methods, and constructors. As discussed at the beginning of the chapter, objects generally have two different capabilities: storing data and performing operations on information. Every instance of a class has its own set of fields, where it can store its own data values in those fields. In the next module, we'll talk about arrays, but for those of you who know about arrays, know they're a string of indexed data. I like to think of instant fields as a place where you can store data, but not necessarily in an index fashion. The methods that operate on an instance of a class are known as instant methods. Any methods that are not declared with the reserved word static are instant methods. In the room area program in your book, it uses the rectangle class. It creates a new instance of the rectangle class to create individual room objects. It does this by utilizing the rectangle class's instant fields to store the data that describes a room and methods to determine the room's area. Every class in Java has a built-in special method called a constructor. Regardless of whether the programmer declares it or not, they are declared automatically by the compiler. They are called constructors because they help construct an object. If you do not write a constructor in a class, Java automatically provides one when the class is compiled. The constructor that Java provides is known as the default constructor and is a no-arg or no-argument method. And this means that it does not accept arguments, meaning it has an empty field inside the parentheses when you write it out in the compiler. A constructor method has the same name as the class. So in our example class, the constructor method for the money class was money. The money constructor was a no-arg constructor, but it initialized the double variable balance. Constructors have no return type and are listed as such in a UML diagram. They also may not return any values. Constructors are also typically public methods. So as previously noted, Java automatically sets up a constructor even if one isn't declared by the programmer. The default constructor is a no-arg constructor that sets all variables to 0 or false or null, creating a null object when a new instance of a class is created. Sort of like creating a blank slate. The only time Java provides a no-argument default constructor is when no constructor is provided. So let's go over the money class and let's review the no-arg constructor we already have in the money class, and let's take a look at how that affects what we do, or what the functionality of the money class and its methods. All right, so we're back with the money class and the bank balance project. So let's go and look at the money class. So as we talked about, we have a no-arg constructor here, and initializes the variable balance to 0. Now note that the variable balance is a double and it's private. It only can be manipulated by methods inside of the money class. So you cannot actually you can't change what balance is without using a method inside the money class. All right, and so it initializes this balance variable. So that's the constructor that I made for the money class. Now, if I didn't make a constructor, then the Java would have automatically set balance equal to 0 and made a constructor setting everything to null. Okay, And so let's look a little bit at some of the methods we have. And this is sort of two methods we have is the money constructor, and we can talk about or not money constructor, money method. We talk about we'll talk about binding a little bit later in the module. But basically what happened here is, we have a method named money, but also a constructor named money, but then there's no argument for money since it's a constructor. And also when you type in money, you also want to put it in a string. It knows that. So let's move on to add money. Add money is one of the methods that we have here, and so the instant field is the data that's stored by the class, or at least when we refer to the method, it points to the reference address for where the data is stored. So we store basically the balance continuously throughout the method and return and manipulate it, right? And the instant methods are the add money and money method that starts the balance and then adds money. So let's add some functionality to this method. Let's go ahead and make add functionality to this class. Let's make a method that actually decreases the balance a little bit, and so the user has the option to decrease their balance. So we can basically say public, since it'll be a public method that we want the user to be able, or the programmer to be able to use in the main method. Public, it will return a double since it's manipulating balance. And we'll call the method decrease money. All right, and in decrease money, what we want to happen is we want to decrease the balance by a certain amount, but we also need input from the user. So it's going to be a string, since it's going to be a command prompt input, and we'll call the string less money. And this less money variable again is only, its scope is only within this method. All right, so we'll say balance is minus equal to and we'll call the double class, and we'll parse that string into an actual double, and so you can actually manipulate it and subtract it from whatever your recurring balance is. And then we're going to return balance. And so what we've done here is we created a new method that we can basically debit that account, right? So we can go back here and we can set up some structures to actually handle this. So what I'm thinking is we need to have we want to still ask the user, what is your starting balance? And then we can just sort of manipulate this. How much do you want to put debit? Say debit. Unless you want to credit your account. And from there we can also ask, keep this same structure, and just add our a little bit more information to this, and say your balance is X amount of money. And then after this, we'll give the user a decision to make, and the decision will be we'll say new line, since it will be a new line. Do you want to withdraw money? Yes or no? And with that, we're going to have to create a new string, and we'll call the string decision. And in decision string reference variable, we'll put in the user's input, next line, either yes or no, or y or n. All right, and so we'll say if decision equals yes, or if decision equals yes, then we can go ahead and say, well, we'll have the program do something. Let's go ahead and finish this thought out, right? And we'll say else system out print line, and we'll say thanks for banking with SDCCD Bank. All right. And so that's if anything else, if anything else the user puts in N or like W, it doesn't matter, they'll exit the program. But if they do say yes, they do want to debit their account, or they want to withdraw money from their account, we simply put system.out print line and ask them how much do you want to withdraw from your account. All right, and then we can say system.out print. Actually, we want to print format your balance is, and we'll say again two levels of precision, and then we'll say new line, thanks for banking with SDCCD Bank. And then we'll complete this format statement by putting in money dot decrease money, and then inside we'll say keyboard dot next line. And then and so what it'll do is the program will call the money class method, and then receive the next and take the next keyboard input and put it into the decrease money method. And then obviously he'll format and put it into the appropriate format for US currency. So it looks like everything is good here. Let's go ahead and run this program. And let's say I have starting balance. I'm going to put a starting balance of $100. And do you want to credit your account? Yes, I want to put in $15. So now we have $115. Do I want to withdraw money? Yeah, I do want to withdraw money. How much do you want to withdraw? I'll say I want to withdraw $20.75. Your balance is $94.25. Thanks for banking with SDCD Bank, right? SDCCD Bank, right? But then you can run this again and say, you know, same deal, $100. I want to create my account, $15. I don't want to withdraw anything. No. And it exited me out of the program. So that was a simple add to the money class. Now, let's look at the data fields that the class holds, and it basically is just holding a running tally of how much money you have in your bank account, and these two different methods, or three different methods. Start your balance, initialize it with actual value besides what the constructor puts in it, and then increases or decreases the actual value of the balance. In the next lesson, we'll go ahead and learn about how to pass objects to a class through its methods, and we've done this a couple times using strings, but in this case we'll pass an object to our own method or to our own class through its methods, and see how that dynamic works and how powerful that is.